Okay, today we have a Lazboy P10 power recliner. Customer heard a loud snap and now the leg rest hangs freely like this. Whenever that happens, the part that breaks is called the drive toggle. This part here, you can see how it's broken. You have the square drive rod right here and the drive toggle. The rod runs through the center of the drive toggle, and this is what allows the leg rest to lift and lower. First step is to retract the leg rest motor to the seated position. Next step is going to be to pull all the staples up both arms so that we can access the drive rod. Now that we have the fabric, the staples pulled out of the fabric, we can see the ends of the drive rod. Next thing we're going to do is take the leg rest springs off, the left and the right side. Next we're going to disconnect the backrest motor. Take out your clip. And remove the pin. Now that we have the leg rest and the backrest free, you see we have 2 nuts and 2 bolts that go through the drive rod. A 7/16 socket to remove the lock nut. Once we get the lock nuts off, we're going to use a T30 torx bit to remove the 2 bolts that go through the drive rod. Okay, we have gotten one out, the other one's tight. We're gonna have to put a little bit of heat to it just to free it up so we can get it out. There are some plastic bushings that are near this bolt. We want to be careful not to melt the plastic. We're trying to just heat the drive rod itself. Now that we have both bolts out, we can remove the drive rod. To remove the drive rod, I'm just going to take my long extension here, a rubber mallet. I'm just going to start tapping it through. Going to remove the connecting piece here that retracts the leg rest with the plastic bushing. Once you get that drive rod started, then you can just grab onto it on the opposite side and start pulling it through. We only want to pull it through far enough to where we can slip the new drive toggle on. We're going to catch these spacing bushings here as we pull the shaft out. 1, 2, 3. One broken piece of the drive toggle was still on there. We're ready to put in the new drive toggle. The orientation of the drive toggle is very important. Need to make sure we put it in correctly the first time, otherwise when we go to operate the chair it'll just break again. Safe piece here that is designed for clearance whenever the leg rest motor is extended. We need to make sure this concave piece is facing the back of the chair. Slip the drive toggle inside both of these stabilizer bars. We're also going to make sure that we have the drive rod in the correct position, which would be this triangle piece here resting against this rear swing. With the drive rod in the correct rotation, the drive toggle, these two prongs are going to go in line with the motor, up and away from you, with the leg rest closed. Right, now we're just going to push the drive rod back through the chair. Put our spacing bushings back on. Make sure these bushings are riding inside this black horseshoe piece here. Once we get the drive rod all the way through to the opposite arm frame, we need to align this bushing and then push the drive rod the rest of the way through. Now that the drive rod is all the way in, we can make sure all of our bushings are in the correct positions here. Our holes are lining up so we know we have it put back together correctly. We're going to reinstall the two bolts with our Torx bit. Now we can put on our washers and lock nuts on the bolts we just installed. Now we can install the motor clevis mount onto the drive toggle with the connector pin. The opening facing towards the motor. Going to install the motor into the motor clevis mount. Now we have the drive toggle connector. Whenever we install the drive toggle connector, we have these two tabs here. We need to make sure they are facing up towards you. It's going to go down through this hole directly below the drive toggle. Now the connector pin to attach the drive toggle connector to the motor clevis mount, it also passes through the actuator shaft. We're going to have to extend the leg rest motor so that we can align the hole for the connector pin. Lastly, we're going to reattach the back motor, the backrest motor with its connector pin. Before we staple anything back up, we're going to operate the chair just to make sure everything's correct. We can reinstall our leg rest springs. These are what actually pull the leg rest back in. Now we can restaple the upholstery. Total installation time was about a half hour.